Hello, welcome back to the iusetime YouTube channel. Pepper and I, plus her little lamb friend, are here today to just do a little video on purpose. We feel that this is another pillar of life that is really important to give some time to in order to have that feeling of, that overall feeling of happiness and joy in your life. I think purpose can be a bit of an overwhelming idea to a lot of people because I think even just the word purpose carries like so much weight, and I think there can be a lot of confusion and a lot of pressure on people to feel like they need to find their purpose in this world. People, when they feel sort of purposeless, is when they can tend to feel really kind of down and maybe feel like a bit of that day-to-day boredom and negativity is because you feel like you're not contributing to sort of what you're here to do in the world. So it can be super overwhelming, and we just like to break it down and try and simplify it so that it becomes this enjoyable, exciting thing. I wanted to start by quoting one of my favorite Tony Robbins quotes, which is, the most sacred gift you can give besides your love is your labor. So obviously love is huge, and I just feel like it's a very well said quote because I think ultimately we're all here to love and to be loved, and that is really, really important, and that's something we talk about more in our connections and relationships aspect of the life spectrum. But the next bit of that is, besides your love, is to give your labor. So purpose really equals contribution and growth, I think. So it's what you can give to the world. It's what you can put out, your unique talents and gifts, and just like the gems in you that you were born with that you get to put out into the world and contribute. So purpose should be really, really exciting and something to be embraced. Really good ways to decide what your purpose might be, or to sort of start exploring it without putting too much pressure on yourself, is to ask yourself a few questions like, what would you do if you knew that you couldn't fail? If you were a millionaire already, how would you choose to spend your time? If money was just not an issue, what would you do every day? Because a lot of people think, oh, I just sort of retire and swim and be by the water and, drink cocktails all day. But I guarantee you most people after a little while would get pretty bored of that, because ultimately I think we all are here other than to love. As Tony Robbins says, we're also all here to contribute. So if we don't feel kind of useful, purposeful, like we're doing something, we tend to get a little bit lost and we feel a little bit passionless. And that's why I think a lot of people who say, oh, I want to retire by the time I'm 35, it's like, and then what? Like, what would you do? Are you just going to sip champagne on a boat for the rest of your life? Probably not. You're probably going to get really bored and want to create or do something or give back, or, work with some kind of cause, or you're going to want to do something. So what would you do if you had all this time on your hands and money wasn't an issue? What did you absolutely love to do when you were little? That can be a really big giveaway. Sometimes as we grow older, we forget the things that we genuinely just gravitated to when we were children. But, those things are still in us. We just sort of have maybe stopped listening to them, or they've become quieter within us because we're too busy listening to all the other things we need to do every day, and where we think we should slot in society, or what we've been told that we're good at. You might have started a job straight out of school and then it's progressed into other things and you're really good at them, but they're maybe not necessarily what you enjoy doing or what you ultimately feel that you're here to do. So maybe go back and listen to that sort of inner child and what did your inner child love to do. That might give you a bit of insight into your purpose. It's good to ask your parents as well. Go back so far and as to say to your parents, what did I used to talk about when I was little? What did I used to say I wanted to do? What were my favorite toys? What were my favorite books? What adventures did I want to go on? They might give you like a really interesting insight into what you were like as a child. Maybe it's things that you never really discussed and don't really remember. So that can be fun to look into. Another cool thing is to pay attention to your hobbies. They're things that we just love to do, and we set aside the time to do them, and we create time for them. What are those hobbies? Do they have like a similar pattern through them? Are there things that you're starting to pick up on in your hobbies that you're like, oh, I'm seeing that I love to be creative, or I love to draw, or I love to write, or when I get free time, these are the things I like to do. So pay attention to your hobbies. Little things like gardening, or if you love to like go to a dance class, or you love to sing or act, like we couldn't encourage you more to go out and do these things. Sometimes like creating new hobbies or allowing yourself the opportunity to follow through on things that you think sound kind of interesting. That could be some kind of calling that you're ignoring. Maybe it's the time you do it, and sometimes these little things can lead to you stumbling upon other things, which could lead to your passion and ultimately to your purpose. If you do know what your purpose is and you are sort of feeling this pressure of, do I need to quit my job to pursue it? Or can I pursue it on the side? Like, that's really a very personal choice. A good example of not having to quit your job to pursue your purpose is Sophie and I in what we're doing with iusetime. We both work full time. We both love our jobs. We're quite lucky, but it's not necessarily our purpose. So iusetime is our passion project, and it's something that we do in our free time because we love it. No, you don't have to quit your job to pursue your purpose at all. You can continue to do both. We just encourage people to bring their purpose into their life as much as they can, because it creates a lot of happiness and fulfillment and fun, and it can lead to amazing things, even if you're just doing it on the side in your spare time. The flip side of that is, if you hate your job, we would encourage people to leave it. Like there's no point in staying in a job or a career that you're really unhappy with. You dread the thought of going to spend 8 hours at a place that you don't want to be. So if that is the case, we would say, okay, perhaps think about leaving the job and either, pursue the purpose, or at least find a job that you enjoy. And maybe it can incorporate some elements of your purpose as you begin to work up to it more and more and more. You've just got to find ways to spend your time that like make you happy and excited to be in this world, and not ways that drain your energy and ruin your day. Whether you're going to get paid for your purpose, or whether you're just going to find a way to bring it into your daily life, either way is so admirable and so worth pursuing. It might always be on the side. Your purpose may just always be like this side project, or it might be working with a charity, or it might be giving back in some way. It might be lending your more practical skills to a cause, and you can still have a job and do that, but you've just got to embrace it and become, I guess, smart about the different ways you can incorporate it into your life. Whatever it is for you, it's okay. Just don't live a passionless life, because that's boring and that's really sad, and I think it leads to a lot of issues that people are feeling these days, of like being depressed, being bored, feeling like there's some kind of lack or something missing in their life, but they don't quite know what it is. Sometimes a lot of that can just be that people are missing a bit of passion and purpose. That's why we have created that as a pillar in our life spectrum. And I think there's a lot to be said as well. People tend to think that their purpose should be this grand mission where they're really helping others, and it's got to be about like saving the world, or fixing huge problems, and people then become really overwhelmed, and then they just can't really commit to anything. And we sort of don't see it that way. Your purpose can be self-serving, or it can be for others. It doesn't really matter. So don't judge yourself if you think your purpose is a little bit selfish, like wanting to start a business that makes you a profit. Like, what's wrong with that? You want to have a certain lifestyle, you want to have the ability to do all these great things. That's totally fine. And you've got to think about it too. If you're creating a business that grows and does great things, then you're employing people, you're adding to the economy, you're feeding families, because you're going to be paying employees who have families and who who want to take their kids off to go on trips and they want to do all these great things. So you having a business that provides them with salaries allows people to do these things. So it is purposeful. It doesn't matter if you're not saving the world. Your purpose is your purpose. You know, you can't deny it or force it to be something that it isn't. Once people have created that level of success, and maybe they have created that business and all these opportunities for themselves, they tend to sit back and start to think, okay, what else can I do in this world that actually gives back to others? It doesn't matter if initially your purpose feels a little bit selfish or a little bit just for you, or you know, too big or too small. You like, don't judge it, just go with what feels right. And ultimately, I think people who find their purpose, reach it, and are living it eventually become the kind of people who end up giving back anyway. Another thing we just like to think about, and I'll probably wrap this video up on, is legacy. So I think so much tied into your purpose is asking yourself questions like, what do you want to be remembered for? What mark do you want to leave on this world? What's your contribution? What problem do you want to help solve? And that can be like so many different things. You might want to invent something. You might want to help people. You might want to write a book about something. You might want to just spread love. You might just want to be a really caring, kind person. You might want to nurture others in some ways, fight a cause, you know, or you might want to like rid the world of poverty. That, whatever it might be, it can be huge or it can be, you know, like feel smaller but feel so meaningful to you. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you want your legacy to be, and on what scale you think it is. You can't judge it. It's just comes from within you, and just go with it. You know, you don't know where it's going to take you, but I think thinking about legacy is a pretty cool way to get yourself really on track to the things you want to do in this life. I'm going to end this video with another really great quote, and this time it's from Oprah, and it is, your legacy is every person's life you have touched. So that's why it doesn't matter what scale it's on. It's every touch you have with the person. It's how you impact them. So it's a really beautiful thing to consider. Yeah, we can't encourage people enough to dedicate some time in their lives to their purpose. So that is why we have added it to our 5 pillars. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.